Hello, welcome on in. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's the number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel Seeley and delighted to stay joining me, as per usual, to look ahead to tonight and tomorrow's action in the 1000 event in Shanghai. It's our ATP Tour handicapper. It is Sean Calvert. Good morning to you, Sean. Or afternoon to you, Sean.
I'll be confused there. Good afternoon, mate. You all right?
Oh, I've got a cold. I've got a cold. Not great. Anyone who watched the football
This is
show
normally
yesterday,
me.
the Premier League show.
This is the reverse of what normally happens, isn't it? It's normally me that comes in here with all these ailments and stuff.
Yeah, I've got a runny nose, so I apologise. I've got a sore throat, a bit of a headache, so yeah, not feeling that great actually. But anyway, we're
The onset of winter.
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it? Don't like the cold. It's a nice day today, though. I've just took the dog out for. It's lovely. Very nice.
I've been out playing paddle again today, so I'm all right. I'm fit as a flea.
Well, I'm going on a health kick. Basically, I'm going away to England, watching England play Finland next weekend. And when I come back, I'm on a health kick because I've got a football match. I've been invited to play on a football match at Wembley Stadium, on the pitch at Wembley Stadium. Yes. So I have to get fit for that game. 3rd of December is the day.
Charity thing or something?
No, it's like my membership at Wembley because I took out for a second term. They've invited me and my son to play in a football match at Wembley Stadium on the pitch at Wembley on the 3rd of December. So I have to get fit. So when I come back from Finland, I'm on a health kick. So
yeah,
new Seeley.
That's going to be intensive, that is, isn't it? A couple of months of hardcore physical exercise. It's tough playing football. I play with a little boy sometimes at these parties when they make you do a lads and dads thing. I'm shattered after about 3 minutes, not even 3 minutes, like 2 minutes or something. So
if I last 2 minutes on the pitch at Wembley, I'll be absolutely amazed. In my physical state now, I wouldn't last 2 minutes, but I'm hoping I can do at least 10 minutes. Last 10 minutes. Come on, cameo performance. Farewell to the hundreds of thousands watching in attendance and leave the pitch with my head held.
There's not going to be anyone there, is there?
No. Okay, let's move on. Tennis tonight and tomorrow, as I said, it's the Shanghai event. It's the penultimate 1000 event of the year, and we're into round 2, which means all the big seeds are in action. Before we go on to the highlight, the 4 matches that Sean has found for a little bit of value on, what have you made of the first day's play, or the 2 days play we've seen on the first round? Is it the conditions are what you expect?
Yeah, Novak Djokovic said exactly what I said, almost word for word, actually. About the conditions. He hasn't played yet, but he's obviously hit a few balls there in practice and stuff, and he was saying it's, exactly what I said. It used to be quick. Now it's, the courts, I think, are the same. It's just these balls. We just keep talking about them. Daniel Medvedev's just been getting on about it again. He loves a quote, doesn't he, Medvedev? He hates this. He hates all these slow balls that they're playing with at the moment, and he's at it again. He just played a real grind against Seyboth Wild, and his quote was, "These balls are not good enough for professional tennis. This is one of the biggest tournaments in the world, and the balls are destroyed after 5 games." And he went on to repeat something that was in the middle of the match. And he went on to repeat something similar, very, very similar, at the end of the match as well. So after 31 matches, 80% holds, 70.8% first serve points won. That's slower than it was last year, and quite a lot slower than the good old days of Shanghai when it was very, very quick. And I don't think that's to do with the court. The court's the same, the Deco turf. They're using these Wilson all-court balls, which, Medvedev can't say enough bad things about them. But it's not just these balls. He hates all of them, I think. I think he likes maybe like one ball a year or something. But they're just made for durability, and they don't even do that. After 2, 3, 4 games, they're all fluffing up. So conditions are ostensibly reasonably quick, but the balls make them slower. If that makes any sense.
No sense at all. But anyway,
okay.
we'll listen to Medvedev. No, I mean it's crazy, isn't it, that we're talking about the state of the balls to play. They must have one ball provider on the tour everyone's happy with, and just get a sponsorship deal of one ball.
They're never going to do that. Every tournament, if you can imagine, every tournament is like, I was liking it to the USA, a bunch of states made up into one big thing. And all the states in America, they do different things, don't they? And it's the same as on the ATP Tour, just because one tournament, Shanghai is using Wilson, Rotterdam are thinking, well, I get more money from, Technifiber give us a better deal, so we'll use their balls. They don't care about what happens the next week, the previous week, the week after. All the tournaments are interested in is what happens in their tournament. They couldn't care less about the other 50 tournaments a year. So until they change that, not a lot's going to change, and the players are still going to complain because they are using different balls every week, and it wouldn't matter to the casual player, but professionals. These things do matter, and it's not great that they're using these balls that fluff up, but that's where we're at.
The balls haven't been a problem for Carlos Alcaraz since the US Open. He had that shock defeat against Botic van der Sandschulp, the shock of the year, without question. But since then, he's unbeaten. He's played well in the Laver Cup, he played well in the Davis Cup, and he just won the tournament last week in an epic final in Beijing against Yannick Sinner. And he's got a tough little opponent in his second round match here. He's up against Zhang, who the winner of Chengdu did really well to beat Musetti in the final, beat Hanford and Alpic in the semi-final. These are two informed players, but the odds do not see any reflection. These giving Zhang no hope, really. Minus 14.30 is the price for Carlos Alcaraz, which means you've got to put $1,430 on to win 100. Very, very low odds. Shang is plus 750. The spread here is 3.5. I suppose that's where you want to be looking unless you want to bet Shang on the money line. 5.5 is the spread with Bet Rivers with Alcaraz plus 120. Totals pretty quite low here, 20.5. They have met once before in this year in the Australian Open, but it was a match that Shang got injured in, and he carried on till the third set, and then he retired. He was 6-1, 6-1 down at that point. So really, we can't really look into that match with any great detail or any great need to the match. I think we just have to overlook that one. But Alcaraz must be exhausted. I mean, he's played a lot of tennis since the US Open. He had to get back in some form, and that final against Sinner was a great match. I don't know if you watched it, but what a great match it was. And it was long, it was tough, it was enduring, and I'm surprised he's actually here this week, but he is. And this is a lot tougher than 14.30 suggest odds here.
I'd say so. I mean, it's mandatory, isn't it? He kind of has to be here. I think this is a good chance for Jerry Shang. Maybe not to win the match. He'll obviously be hoping to win the match, but certainly to press him into the latter stages. Alcaraz, again, he said that he arrived late. He said, "We arrived super late, so I haven't slept as much as I would have wanted, but I am happy to be here in Shanghai once again." The usual platitude. You can forget the last sentence. He kind of has to say that. All you need to take from that is that he's arrived really late and he hasn't slept much. So on top of just a incredibly heavy schedule of play, that he's had in recent times, Alcaraz, Shang's got to be looking at winning this, really, or certainly making it very, very tough, because the level he's playing has been excellent. This Asian swing so far, Shang, 6-1 win-loss, a service points won and return points won total of 104, and a service hold and break total of 110. Very, very good stats indeed. Not as good as Alcaraz's, but he's had a bit of a break. He won, as you said, Chengdu. Then he had a dip, not particularly surprising at all, in Beijing last week. Shang, he's had that dip, got that out of the way. Now he's back up for what is a massive tournament for him. If we look at what Alcaraz did in Shanghai last season, he was tested in his first round by Grigor Barrère, also tested quite sternly by Dan Evans, and then he lost to Dimitrov. And last season, Alcaraz went 2-4 win-loss after Beijing. So 12 months ago, it all kind of tailed off for Alcaraz. I mean, it could happen again. I'm not saying it will happen again, but it certainly might. It just feels like there might be a bit of a difference in motivation here. Shang's had his dip, as I've said, and he's going to be pumped up for this. And Alcaraz he's got it. This isn't a first round that he can just sort of play 60% and get through. He's got to play pretty well to beat a Shang that's playing as well as he is at the moment. Shang's obviously going to be more confident this time around meeting Alcaraz as opposed to last time, because he's won that Chengdu title. He's playing great. It's just his general demeanour around the court, Shang, at the minute is of a player that's very confident. So I'm expecting him to do something here. I'm taking Shang plus 1.5 sets, so he's just got to win one set. That's a 2-1 chance of Bet Rivers plus 200.
Yeah, nice price that. So 33 different markets available on the Bet Rivers website. Lots of markets, obviously, with the money line at minus 14.30. You might want to look at one of the prop markets to see if there's some value there. Sean has highlighted some value. Take a look and see what you believe the value is. There's 33 different markets available currently on the Alcaraz-Zhang match, and that starts tomorrow at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So just after midnight tomorrow, 12:30 a.m. Alcaraz against Zhang. So if you want to bet Shang plus 1.5 sets, you know what you got to do. You got to get to the app. You're going to take the price now because the price will probably contract and you haven't got much time. And remember, if you do place a bet on the Bet Rivers website or on the app, you can watch live and bet live with Bet Rivers. All the matches are streamed live on your tablet or your mobile device. Move on to the next match. Marcus Giron is up against Khachanov. Khachanov has been quite popular on this show over the last couple of weeks. He's a favourite here, minus 205, the Russian, against the American Giron at plus 160. 163. The spread is 2.5. The total here is high at 22.5, with over the marginal favourite at -129. The two have never played before, never met before. Giron is in a bit of a bad run though. He has lost 5 of his last 6 matches. He did win in the first round here, but it was his first win on the ATP Tour since he won the Newport title in July. Khachanov got beat by Alcaraz in Beijing, and he also got beat by Dan Evans in the first round at the US Open. But showing a little bit of signs of improvement, Khachanov. -205 here. What do you like about this one?
He's showing a bit of improvement, but not as much to be -205 to win this match. Certainly not on the statistics anyway. If we look at this season, 2024 main level away from clay, Giron 55% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 101. Khachanov 53% win rate and 101. So nothing in it, yet we've got one player plus 163, the one -205. In what they've done in Shanghai, Giron's only played 3 matches, but he's got service points won and return points won total of 102. Khachanov, he's 3-4 here. His total is 103, just 1 point better. So on the stats so far, you wouldn't make Khachanov -205. He's also lost 7 of his last 10 matches against top 50 opponents, Khachanov. Backed him, didn't we, a couple of times last week and the week before. I mean, disappointing really against Bu. I mean, he played pretty well. It wasn't a really bad loss because we know what Bu can do now at this level. That wasn't too bad, but he kind of scratched his way past Karbayesh Baena in Beijing, then obviously lost to Alcaraz. He's shown a little bit of sign of up form, but his stats this year, they don't make him -205. Giron's obviously had this one match already under his belt to get used to the conditions. And finally get a win under his belt as well. As he said, he's not won since winning the title in Newport. Now he has. And I think the deciding factor for me is that he should still have tons of energy left. He's only played 6 matches since that Newport final, which was on the 21st of July. Over 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago almost. And he's only played 6 matches. So I'm not happy to take Giron here, plus 163. The odds, I think, should be closer than this. So therefore, there's value. Therefore, I'll take it.
Yeah. Giron, plus 163, 3:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. So make sure you get across to the Bet Withers website and make sure you take that price at plus 163 now, because the line we're not going to be around for long. Early starts tomorrow on Saturday over in Shanghai. Are both these bets official plays, Sean, or are they just
I'm taking the usual approach in the Asian swing of being a bit more aggressive than I normally would, because I just feel there's often a bit more value on the underdogs because of the fatigue factor and various other things. So I usually have more bets in the Asian swing than the rest of the year. So yes, is the short answer.
2 official plays so far, with 2 more matches to come, previewing tomorrow. We have a match between Brandon Nakashima against Watanuki. Watanuki come through an epic match. I actually bet Watanuki yesterday in play, and I bet him at 3-1 in play, and I bet him at 5-6, and I get him on -120. And I thought I lost the money, completely lost the money, but he come back against Kotov and won in a real weird final set. Nakashima has played an awful lot of tennis. He got to the semi-finals in Hangzhou. He got beat by Humbert. He got to the final in Tokyo in round of 16. But he's played an awful lot of tennis, Nakashima, in recent weeks, and he's been someone that I've been looking at to try to fade. Watanuki, though, has come through an epic match. -435 is the price for Nakashima, plus 325 for Watanuki. 3.5 spread, 22.5 the total. And this match starts early again. We are looking at the time for this. It is going to be, let me find the time before we get your analysis. It is 12:30 a.m. So it's the first match on court tomorrow.
Yeah, so this is about accumulated fatigue again. I mean, I just said that Giron's played 6 matches since the end of the grass season. Nakashima's played 23 in that same time frame. Again, this is about motivation as well. I mean, Watanuki, he missed 6 months of the season due to a knee injury. That's pretty, over half of the season gone. Wasn't able to play. So he's obviously going to be keen to make the absolute most of this Asian swing. And, you saw the match. He was extremely determined in that match against Kotov. He was a set down, came back, ground it out, got the win. As I said, now he's facing a potentially jaded Nakashima. He's played these 3 matches already. Obviously, he came through qualifying. Watanuki and won round 1. So he's got 3 matches under his belt here. Dialed into the conditions. Nakashima obviously isn't. And he certainly looked very, very tired last week in that match against Hugo Humbert. Humbert dismissed him very comfortably, which you wouldn't necessarily expect if those two were both playing at the sort of peak fitness and sort of energy levels. Watanuki's done well against top 50 ranked opponents in his career before. He's kind of done well without winning too many. His record against top 50 opponents, he's gone over 10.5 games in set 1 in 4 of his last 6 matches against them. Set 2 has gone over 10.5 games in 8 of the last 11. And he's played a tie-break, at least one tie-break, in 10 of 20 completed matches against top 50 opponents. So he's quite strong on serve. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see at least one tie-break in this match. There's quite a few ways that you could back Watanuki here. Set 1, Watanuki is the obvious big-priced option. That's certainly one that I considered. Overs, set 1 overs, these are all decent options, but I've taken Watanuki to win over 10.5 player games in this match at minus 105 at Bet Rivers. I feel like this is going to be a tough, long, physical battle, and given that Nakashima is, I'm saying he's less than 100% physically. He must be, given how much tennis he's played and how he looked last week in Tokyo. I wouldn't be surprised if Watanuki won this, but I've gone with a slightly more conservative approach here of him winning over 10.5 games in the match.
Yeah, over 10.5 games is minus 105 currently with Bet Rivers. One of the 33 different markets available on this match on the Bet Rivers website. Starts 12:30 a.m. Saturday morning, so just after midnight. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, Watanuki to win the opening set is plus 220. So maybe some value there. And overs in set 1 over 10.5 is plus 180. So there's loads of different markets available with Bet Rivers, but we believe that Watanuki will all cause all kinds of problems for a jaded Nakashima, and the best play is over 10.5 games total for Watanuki at minus 105. Our final match is Grigor Dimitrov up against Zizou Bergs. Dimitrov is minus 315 here. Bergs is plus 240. Spread 3.5. Total 22.5. Take your pick on the over and under. Under minus 112. Over minus 114. Zizou Bergs has met Dimitrov once before. It was in this year's French Open where Dimitrov come through a rather tough match in 4 sets. But Bergs is playing really, really well. Really played well in the Davis Cup. Beat Greek-born Koboli. Did well in qualifying. In Beijing, had 2 tough matches. He won them both, Hanferman and Mute. Then he found Musetti in round 1. Then he beat Shang in the round 1 here in Shanghai, which is tough ask to beat these local players in these kind of conditions. So yeah. Bergs did very well there. Dimitrov hasn't played since the Laver Cup, which was he beat Tabilo, but prior to that he was injured and he hadn't played since the quarterfinals of the US Open. So he has a bit of time off, but he does come here with a little bit of an injury concern. Yeah, he does. He's played a couple of he played an exhibition in Sofia at home, Dimitrov, with Novak Djokovic, and then he played the Laver Cup, and then he quit Beijing. He withdrew from Beijing, so he's had this hamstring problem. That was what it was that made him retire in the US Open against Tiafoe. He's kind of been playing with that. He played with that in the Laver Cup, and obviously also this exhibition with Djokovic, and then, as I said, quit Beijing. So question marks over his fitness for sure. I mean, Bergs, as you said, has been playing probably the best tennis of his young career at the moment. He's really starting to find his feet at this level, and he's got that sort of pleasing habit, which I kind of like looking for, of playing better against the better players. He hasn't actually won a match yet against a top 20 opponent, but he's been very, very close on numerous occasions. His record against top 20 opponents, he's played 8 matches, and he's won at least a set on 6 of those 8 occasions, including against Dimitrov, as you said, on the clay at the French Open this season. And in those 8 matches, set 1 has gone over 10.5 games 6 times. So he's started quickly. He's won the opening set 2 or 3 times as well. So he's been competitive early on against basically every top 20 player he's played so far in his career. If we look at that French Open match as well on clay, neither of them would really call clay their best surface. A little bit slow, I'd suggest, for both of them. But Bergs ended up winning more second serve points in that match than Dimitrov did, 51% compared to 45%. He also created more breakpoint chances in the match, did Bergs, and he won only 8 points fewer than Dimitrov over the course of the 4 sets. So it was very competitive, to say the least. And you would argue that Bergs has improved since then. Or I certainly would argue that anyway. And what interests me about that match is that Bergs approached the net 56 times
in that match and won the point on 42 of those occasions. So 75% of the time, he was winning the point by approaching the net. And it's a smart play. It's a kind of an obvious play against Dimitrov. Approach to the backhand deep and with a bit of pace, knowing that you're likely to get that backhand slice response from Dimitrov. That's always likely to happen. And as I said, he won 75% of those points. You would think that play would be even more effective here on a quicker hard court. So I imagine he's going to be trying that again. Whether Dimitrov's wise to it and is able to counter it is another question. So as I said before, Bergs has been very competitive in the opening set against the best guys. So I'm going for the more aggressive approach on this one. 2.8 plus 180 with Bet Rivers about him winning the opening set. He's obviously got that match under his belt as well against Shang. This is Zhang's home tournament. I think he's from Shanghai, isn't he, Zhang? Certainly his home tournament. I think it is anyway. So that was a great win for Zizou Bergs. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that sort of folds away, sort of fades away under pressure of playing big matches and big opponents. So, yeah, I think he'll come out all guns blazing here. I think he'll fancy his chances in this one, Bergs.
Yeah, I like him. I like him on the money line. I like the plus 240 on the money line for Bergs. I think he's got a great chance. I think Dimitrov is a fade. Yeah, I want to get with him in lots of different ways, and there's loads of different ways to get with him on the Bet Rivers website. 33 different markets available. Sean has gone for the first set. You can get the spread. You can go with the money line. But our official play here is Bergs to win the first set at plus 180. So we have 4 official plays. Is that correct? 4 matches, 4 official plays.
Yep.
Wow. Slightly
more aggressive approach for the Asian swing.
Just give us a rerun of the plays if you could.
Yeah, sure. First one, Jerry Shang to win a set, plus 1.5 sets against Alcaraz, plus 200, that is with Bet Rivers. Giron on the money line against Khachanov, plus 163 with Bet Rivers. Watanuki to win over 10.5 player games in his match against Brandon Nakashima. That's a minus 105 chance. And the last one that I just mentioned, Bergs to win the opening set against Dimitrov at plus 180 with Bet Rivers.
Yeah, remember the action starts at 12:30, just after midnight, tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. And that Bergs match is 3:30 a.m. Eastern time. So you haven't got long to watch this podcast and book your bets on. Apologies, I've got such a sore throat. Here is the state of play at the moment. Game bet match is minus 857 units. Lots more tennis to come. WTA show plus 0.19 units, but Paolo Badosa, Rory's pick, is through to the semi-finals. English Premier League is plus 491, and you can catch the show, myself, Jack Wright, and Dan Roebuck. Now on the YouTube channel, an extra time show is plus 819 with James Eastham and Steve Wiss. Only the early days in the football seasons, but all the shows are showing a profit. Remember, download this podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match on your podcast provider. And also follow us on our socials at Because We Win on Instagram and Twitter. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Thank you very much for everyone who subscribed over the last week or so. A huge amount of subscribers. It was our record number for subscribers in September, and hopefully October we can break that record even more. So thank you very much for coming along. Sean, I'm not going to keep you long because I'm really struggling in my throat. So I'm going to have a little drink and I'm going to leave you alone. But good luck at your bets, and we'll be back on Sunday to break down all the tennis action for Monday over at the 1000 event in Shanghai. Enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and good luck with your bets. Take care.